I did. I made a really big noise. That fills up the whole waveform. Good job, Aaron.
Yep, that distorted in my headphones. That was impressive.
What the fuck's going on down there?
It's Monday. Welcome to Monday, Aaron. Your weekend is over.
Hi, that weekend went really quick.
Yep, it's over and done with. You get right back to work, but before you do, we're going to talk a little bit of TCG here. Welcome, everyone. This is WTF at TFW's WTF at TCG. I am Chris Vangelis, card-sharking mind freak, and I'm joined by Aaron.
Hey.
You got to make up a cool name for yourself.
I'm okay. I like Aaron.
Helicopter booster box buyer.
Sure. Booster case buyer, maybe.
That's right. The whole time you kept saying case, because over here, I think we've talked about this even once before. Maybe it's a Canadian thing, but the Wave 1 cases that I've seen for sale in Canada were 6. So this whole time I kept thinking you were getting 6 boxes.
For some reason I thought it was 4 boxes to a case. Maybe that's what Wave 1? I don't know.
Yeah. Wave 1 I think was 6.
4 boxes purchased.
No, it was you and like Joe on Wreck and Roll were both like cases, and I was like, you guys are pretty friggin' hardcore. But then I saw it's 4 boxes, and I'm like, granted, 4 booster boxes is not softcore.
No.
But I feel like there is a thin line between 4 and 6. I actually just traced a line on the table.
Yeah.
But
that line would be somewhere in the 5 range.
Yeah, roundabouts. But is 5 the line, or is 5 on the other side? We'll find out. Before we talk about our Wave 2 stuff, though, we have fresh spoilers for you all, and we're going to get right down to it. Do you remember, Aaron, that mysterious Windblade artwork that we saw in December of 2018?
Yeah. It was an entirely different Windblade artwork.
Yeah, it was regular Windblade, as opposed to the Combiner Hunter Windblade that's a super rare in Wave 2.
Yeah.
Also, do you remember that mysterious pulled listing for the Bumblebee versus Megatron starter set?
Yes.
All right, I have updates on all of this. We are revealing Windblade, Defender of Truth. If you take a look at the bottom, you'll see that she is number RTTO4 of 4 from Wave 2S, which you might see as being Wave 2 starter set. We have a little blurb here I've been given by powers that be. It is a quoted blurb, so I'm just reading it word for word. Bumblebee vs. Megatron, a new Transformers TCG starter set, will arrive in stores May 3rd, *. More details will be revealed in April. And that's it. So there's an asterisk. We don't see what it's for. However, I got to wager what that asterisk means.
It's probably the more details will be revealed in April.
Oh, really? I was assuming that the asterisk meant only in some regions, which is code word for not Canada.
That can be in and among the more details to be revealed in April.
True. I'm inferring things.
Yeah.
But that's all we know. So, I mean, one could probably assume that Windblade will be in this box along with Bumblebee and Megatron. One can probably assume there's a good chance that this starter set will not have new battle cards. It'll probably be a 40-card deck, which I'm going to bet you actually is probably 2 20-card decks.
Yeah, I could see the potential of this Windblade Defender of Truth being like her and Bumblebee, well, especially since it's called the Bumblebee versus Megatron. Then have Megatron and maybe a Starscream?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this while I was walking home from groceries today. Immediate knee-jerk. Oh, this is where that other sound wave that was hinted about might be. However, starter set seems like the wrong place for someone like a Soundwave who might have entire new mechanics. But if it's a no new mechanic Soundwave, perhaps he will be the partner. If not him, I would say it's definitely Starscream. In which case, we're in for a 5-star Starscream, which I'm kind of into, because both Starscreams
you could go heavier. Unless you think Bumblebee and Megatron are the balancing points.
I think this is going to be 2 10-star teams.
What about a 5-star Megatron? Well, then it wouldn't be a starter because it's 25 stars to a deck.
Okay, I guess so. Yeah.
I guess they could slip in some starred cards, but...
Oh, how do you... Okay, yeah. Because, splitting this is weird then.
Uh-huh.
Oh, boy. We don't have anything else to work with, but before we get into that, let's talk about Windblade specifically, just who she is as a card. She's a 5-star plane, ranged in both modes, not a plane in both modes. She's got 8 health, she's got 2 attack. In plane mode, she's got 2 defense. In bot mode, she's got 1 defense. Plane mode is no abilities, and when you flip to bot mode, she gets Pierce 2 until end of turn. She's a 5-star, so there's not going to be like game-breaking stuff here. However, the small thing for me is I like playing ranged. I like 5-star planes a lot because I'm still hooked on the idea of ridiculous bombing run and ridiculous uncommon Starscream jank. And other than that, like, there's not much here. The thing with her probably, being a starter card is flip to bot mode to attack, then flip back to plane mode to defend. It seems pretty linear. But Aaron, what are you seeing in here?
I definitely see this as a good start. Again, what its purpose is a good starter thing. This is a pretty basic thing. It's nice that it's low cost to maybe have use in other decks if you really wanted to try and build like a 4 wide planes that wasn't weird. Having is she the lowest cost plane so far?
I mean, her and all of the aerial bots that aren't Alpha Bravo.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. I hadn't registered that all the way yet, but yeah. So trying to get
those guys at.
Trying to get
right here.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Trying to get a little bit wider on that with a variety of other skills. It's letting that kind of toe dip in on that.
I'm just taking a look here. If I leave out Alpha Bravo, she's kind of actually got average attack. She's in line with the aerial bots.
Okay.
In fact, I would say actually the one thing about her that's kind of a bummer is that her ability is fully insular, which does make her a bit less exciting. Because if she was able to grant Pierce 2, I think that would be more of a thing. As it is, it's kind of like if you're going to stack a Piercing Blaster on her and a leap into battle, then you're doing Pierce 5. That's something. But I'll temper that by also saying, like, I'm not expecting a starter deck card to, like, change the world. But
yeah, 2
of them from the first starter deck have actually seen some decent amount of play. Starter deck, Bumblebee, and Optimus have been popping around places. So this is something that might fit into some kind of weird planes, or if you want to do a planes deck that's Autobot tribal, of course, you would need to probably use Windblade along with some aerial bots if you want to, for some reason, not do a combiner and also ditch Alpha Bravo because you're a monster. But yeah, this is our first look at this thing. Most folks are going to hear more about this in April, which is actually quite far. This is some of the most advanced Transformers TCG stuff we've talked about, I think, ever.
Yeah.
Like, usually it's like, next month, find out more. And this is like, no, next month, find out more.
Yeah, we got the chance to get on this early because other people are getting other things tomorrow.
Yes. Before we move into that, which is going to be our next bullet point here, just going to give one more opening. Anything else about Windblade or the potential of the starter set you want to cover? Obviously,
no, that's why I was letting it roll into the next thing.
I had one more thing to throw in, just in case folks are listening to this. I'm being friendly. There was an interview we did, and you might not have heard like all the interviews we did, but this starter deck, I am going to also assume is going to be the location of a new printed rulebook that was talked about. And I'm actually quite excited to see that. I want to know what a deeper printed rulebook for the game looks like, and I want to know how much of the FAQ is in there. I'm not saying they got to, but I'm going to say I'll be super impressed if the card and the card and character focused chunk of the FAQ is just in there as like the back 10 pages or so. Just like, hey, for this card, know this. For this card, know this. It probably isn't, but it would sure be cute.
No, I could definitely see like the rules and timing things, some of those questions that have been in the weekly FAQs.
Yeah.
That like that could be in there to help make clear that like, you get one attack and that's it at the end of the turn. Unless everybody's tapped, then you get all of the attacks. I've seen people be like, if everybody's tapped and you get another turn, it's like, well, no, you don't get another turn. You just get to keep attacking.
There's been a lot of conflation of the phrasing of turn and round.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if this rulebook is going to be a lot more hardline about what those mean. Because I've encountered that even like locally. I've had folks go like, oh, wait. Or at least folks who were doing it right, but then had a moment and they go like, hang on, so on this turn, do I attack with everyone? It's like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling if you're new to the game, 100%. But yeah. The only other thing, I guess, is you touched on it before, but I think it's worth a quick bopping on. So if it is 25 stars-ish for the whole thing, I wonder, do you think it is going to be like 25 stars of characters, or do you think they might actually do the thing of like subtract 1 star so we have even stars on both sides and then have like a star card?
I'm trying to think of the way that the first starter went. I could see it being just that it's, one one team would be 12 stars and the other's 13, because that's pretty close, especially if they're balanced against each other. All right, that one star isn't going to be a make or break on it. If they do the decks kind of the same way that the existing starter was, then it's just going to be a case of like, hey, take this and divide by 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do that, or if they would indeed do like, hey, here's 2 half-size decks, and then once you and a friend have a gist of it, then you can smash this together and one of you gets a deck.
Because I could make the case for it being 2 half-size decks with one getting a star card, in that way you're not playing a weird version of the game that doesn't apply outside of the starter deck, like that, sharing deck version of the game.
Yeah.
And then also, if there's a 1-star card in one of the decks, if they have that, and if one of the characters has a flip in KO pile as an ability thing, then I think every basic rule will be contained in that starter set, pretty much. Or potentially, at least.
Potentially, yeah.
And then that way, if someone's reading through the rulebook, the rulebook will be able to reference something in the set for every rule, aside from if they mention combiners at all. And guess what? Megatron and Starscream are a combiner in that set. They turn into Starscream holding Megatron. Oh god, what if that's true? I was like joking, but then like...
Is that how they break out the sound wave, become his alt mode is a boombox, and make that work?
I was like joking, but as soon as I finished saying it, like as soon as I finished saying it, I was like, that's not 100% unrealistic. Yeah. But yeah, we have this news because I'm going to go find the email with everyone's name in it. We're part of a mission. Some might call it Mission Probably Quite Possible. Some might call it Mission Group Hug. Some might call it Operation Combination.
Ooh, that'd be a better one. Why don't you lead with that one?
I wanted to lead up to the good one.
Okay.
Because I thought of it. So we are posting this on Monday. That's because tomorrow, Tuesday, when you're listening to this, if you're listening when it's new, as you should be, there's going to be spoilers going up for all of the Devastator pre-con exclusive battle cards. There are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 cards revealed, because the 5th one we've already seen, which is their Enigma, but there are 4 other ones. And if you want to know about those, you're going to want to go check out a couple of folks who make media about the Transformers TCG. You might want to go check out TCG Rollout. You're going to want to go check out Wassy Plays. You're going to want to check out Wreck and Rule. And you're going to want to hit up Vector Sigma of Vectorsigma.info, because each of those 4 folks are going to have 1 card to reveal. And then when that's all done, then you can come back here and think about the starter Windblade again. So shouts out to everyone. If there's one thing about this game that has been really cool to watch and kind of take part in, it's that we have a very small and interactive core group of folks who do the media side, the quote-unquote content creation side of TCG community, and everyone's really into it, and everyone's very, I wouldn't say tight-knit, but everyone is sort of like a neighbor with everyone else.
Yeah, and the good neighbor that's like, hey, I need to borrow a bunch of commons. Is that cool? And then you go, well, I only got a half a cup of commons, but here, you can have what I got.
Yeah. And granted, it's weird to say, given that, as far as the sphere of the TCG community, we are mostly just putting up these podcasts and posting on the Transformers TCG Facebook group. But I like this idea a lot. I do, this idea is fully credit to someone. I'm not sure actually if we're supposed to say. So it's credit to someone, but I have been enjoying checking out all those other folks' YouTube channels and websites and postings, etc. If you don't know who they all are, Vectorsigma of Vectorsigma.info is probably the most competitive-minded site and content folks for the game that are out there. They're very competitive-minded, almost beyond like where I would even want to be for the game, but they have a lot of really good ideas.
You could be, so that you can break everybody else.
I want to use more cards, though, than competitive would call for. But outside of like talking on a very competitive level, there's a lot of good info to pull out of there, and they also have delivered a lot of like really solid like just math about the game that I think is applicable even outside of competitive stuff. Like, it's not like high competitive play to know how many white pip cards you would need to have, given odds of flipping white pips, because what if you want to run Mirage from Wave 1? You kind of want to know how many white pips you're going to need to reasonably see 3 of them flip over at a given point, without plan or anything adding into that. So they are really fun for that. TCG Rollout has just got this. TCG Rollout and Wassy Plays have just got very solid, constant coverage YouTube channels going on. When spoiler season is hitting, like, they are hitting out videos for legit everything, and dropping some brainstorming ideas, what cards could be used for, etc. Wreck and Rule is sort of like, they touch on that stuff, but they are more in the vein of a lot of gameplay and a lot of like in-person local area gameplay. Local area in the way they talk about the game, I believe, but like as far as the gameplay, they're primarily recording it like in a given location. It's mostly the same 3 or 4 folks who tend to be in on the game. There's like a main 3. Yeah. I like turning on their stuff and seeing, especially when they run jank stuff. That's my favorite thing that they do, because you can see competitive, like, high tier decks playing just about anywhere, but then they'll run stuff like double Starscreams. It's from their channel that I got the idea of, like, I want to try running a double Starscream deck, and like that deck almost kind of works. Like, it has some major weaknesses, but I was a little astonished at, like, building double Starscreams for bold and orange. I was like, this is like kind of, as far as this rolling high attack, like, this is doing it a little bit easier than some of the decks that are technically better at doing it with, like, more planning. But those Starscreams have a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know, I had fun with that. So I wanted to say something nice about all of them, because I want to be more neighborly. So that's me. Aaron is now going to say terrible things about everybody.
No, I won't. Why do you automatically assume I'm a mean guy?
I don't assume. I was just making educated guesses.
That hurts.
It's all right. It'll make you stronger. But Aaron, what do you, just quickly, there are 4 exclusive battle cards for Devastator. He's not like a Titan or anything.
No, I mean, I would assume it's probably other things that affect the tower.
That's what I'm thinking.
So it could be something like, you knock the tower over and you can take a couple things off of the tower and it deals 2 points of damage for 2 tower levels or something. I'll
just start shucking tower at people.
Yeah.
Man.
I can see that being some sort of resource.
Do you think, though, that there might be a card in there that is basically, like, universally useful to people outside of the Constructicons? Because they had one for Metroplex that's useful for at least future Titans.
Maybe. I don't know. I would assume that anything going in there is going to be very Constructicon or tower based.
Yeah. And there's actually a pretty good, not to go straight back to what we're doing, but Vectorsigma.info's podcast had a pretty cool breakdown of Devastator, and kind of, I was like, Devastator just looks sort of fun, but they sort of opened my eyes to what Devastator becomes if you build the full tower and combine him. Because the whole part about him having at that point a base 10 attack, it just needed to be highlighted, but once it was highlighted, I was kind of like, oh, that is something. That's something I don't want to deal with, because I already like to pump people's attack up to base 10 through other means. If I can do that, but it starts at 10, then maybe I can start aiming towards the dream of base 20. That'd be fun. Anyway, that's our timely stuff. That still went longer than I thought it would, but we're gonna now move into. Hey, listen, it's Monday, right? You have a whole day to hang out. So why don't you stick around with us? We're going to talk quickly about our first day with Wave 2, our first official day. Just a little bit about polls, and in my case, a little bit about gameplay. So polls-wise, I got a video up. You can go check it out. My ratio was pretty good. 1 super rare, 3 rares. Seems like across the board, 3 rares to 4 rares is pretty darn common, which is quite nice given that 2 to 3 rares used to be the common thing. Per box. And
I definitely feel like that ratio's been up. I don't think I've seen anybody say that they've gotten 2 rares to a box yet.
Yeah, I think I feel like there might have been a report of a 2 rare box, but it was within a nest of like 5 boxes. I think it's realistic to say that there are going to be bummer boxes because this is still randomized. But it's got collation that is hoping to aim towards a certain delivery. The thing that's astonishing me is how regularly it is one super rare per box.
Yeah, I think I've seen, like I said, the only times I think I've seen 3 rares in box, it's also been plus super rare.
Yeah.
So it's not been like, I only ended up with that. Now, again, I don't know. I've got our demo box and then one other under my belt so far, and I was 4-1 and 3-1. So
Yeah.
and very, very sparing on dupes. So I've felt pretty good on just the I'm a buy a box and pull thing.
My box was astonishing for dupes. That being 1. I had 1 uncommon dupe. Like, not even the commons were across the. I think I might have pulled every common character unless I'm missing one of the non-combiner ones. I didn't really go to check too deeply, and Canadians currently can't actually look at the official website with the simple text list. It redirects, which is kind of irritating. But I came out basically with I think every common character, which meant I came out of one box with 2 full combiners and a Dreadwing, which means I got the perfect box for me, because I'm over here in Toronto, and that box is going to kind of be, at least for a little bit, some of the only Wave 2 that'll be in the city, which means that I was able to build an Aerial Bot and Stunticon deck to face off against each other, and the decks aren't all that bad. Like, they're not perfect, but they have just a nice splash of Wave 2 in them. The Stunticon deck is, blue-oriented. The Aerial Bot one is a little bit more Pierce and Punch-oriented, and I've played the 2 of them, and they felt great. So the collation, I think I got actually a really good box for a 1-box collation, given that I got all the common combiners. That does not seem to be a very common thing from the unboxings and reports I've seen so far. A lot of boxes don't have that, so I got very lucky. But yeah, the collation is fantastic. And battle cards wise, I should mention, I believe it's called Defensive Driving. That is the only battle card I did not pull in my box. I pulled at least one of every other battle card from my box, which is, given my luck with that in all of Wave 1, was mind-blowing. Like, I was chasing Start Your Engines for over 2 boxes. So coming out of this with a near singleton complete set, and the one that I'm missing not being all that exciting to me, was a really good feeling. Aaron, I don't know if you had a chance yet to sift through your battle cards.
I can tell you after 2 boxes, I have at least one of everything. All 81 slots in the binder have at least 1 card in them. I have play sets of all the commons, and I'm probably pretty close on the uncommons.
Oh, that was one other thing. In my 1 box, I did playset all the commons, which I don't think I did in Wave 1.
Yeah, in Wave 1, in the first box, I was close, but not complete. And I had... it was something that we talked about. After 3 boxes, I was still shy of some of 2 or 3 battle cards altogether, which then became the trading and wheeling and dealing that we did at TFCon Toronto. So I definitely feel like I can't say for real, but this feels like it's a better distribution and a better sorting.
Yeah, I'm being real tentative about saying that, but I mean, it's day 1 technically, but there's some people bought 10 boxes. There's a lot of data that came out today, and the data currently is lining up to show a real good move as far as collation improvement. And that's fantastic, because that is, as far as the long term of Wave 2, that's one of the most important things, because if you're playing limited and stuff, you're just buying packs here and there. It's nice to know that you can kind of move into that as quickly as you want, because you'll probably have at least a singleton set by box 2 of battle cards, And for QC stuff, Aaron, you had some miscuts, but you had the kinds that you're able to probably pass along at some point.
So I wasn't sure how much I wanted to talk about it, because I don't think it's representative, but it's unfortunate that it was in the representative box. So both of the rares that I had were miscut. They were miscut to the side. So you could see this like the set symbol.
Mhm.
The edge of it was nipped off on the corner, and you could just see a line of color on the side of the card that was the adjacent card.
Yeah.
So I got Venom and Warpath, and you can see that Venom sits next to Warpath.
So start mapping.
When you look at it. So yeah, so you can start mapping out cases. And I've had some people say that this is a sign of the end times for Wizards of the Coast due to horrible QC. I've had
Well, okay, we say some. We say some. Was it some or was it one?
It was a couple people. I
Okay.
brought it up a couple different places, and two of those places had people like decrying the end of Wizards of the Coast.
Are
as a
they
company.
people who don't know what happens with miscut cards?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the classic angry people that are angry.
Okay. Because miscut cards, for anyone who's in the know, those are not a negative thing because of the other people who reached out to you.
Yeah. So I had that happen, then I also had a bunch of people private message me and be like, "Hey man, hey, you wanna trade one of those? You wanna sell them? You wanna sell them?
Yeah.
I'll get you cards that are right." And I'm like, "No, I know that miscuts have a value multiplier of probably 2 or 3 for that. So like, if you want to trade me a case for one or a box for one of these things, sure. But even then, I'd probably still hold on to it because it's such a rarity."
Yeah.
I have seen a couple other images of somebody that got a discard card.
I was going to move into this. So I've seen two very weird things outside of what we got. I didn't have anything weird with mine. I had a skydive who folded funny until I flattened him for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I can't believe it. Someone got a folding card discard. Discard, this is not just with Transformers. That's a common Wizards printing thing. They've been seen in Magic over the years as well. They are a card on the sheet that occupies a space and it's meant to be thrown away. And sometimes it just ends up in a pack. And
so for the tech side of that, on regular cards for Wizards, it's 11 by 11 on a sheet. So you'd end up with math. What is that? 121 cards on that sheet, and say you've got 108 cards. Well, now you can maybe put more things on there, but if you make more duplicate cards, then you're going to end up tweaking actual probabilities on things. So you'd end up having maybe the stuff in the corner as blanks, and generally they'll say throw away or discard. So that as it comes through, that should trip sensors or people as they're punching it or whatever to take the stack and toss it in a bin.
And now discards cards are not like wildly valuable. They are, I believe, a little bit more common than miscuts. However, in most cases, I've read that if someone has a discard card, they're able to sell it for somewhere between $30 to $40 to the folks who collect those things. So once again, those things are like from the outside in, those probably look pretty negative, but on the inside in, those are like kind of weird secret positives, unless you were actually just really hoping to get some cards. You don't want to go through the bother of selling something, in which case it absolutely is a bummer. But the other weird one, and this is super weird, someone opened a pack, it had a character in it, but then one of the battle cards was half of Dreadwind.
Was it one of the battle cards, or was it also in there?
It was
because he didn't ever really make that clear in the post that I saw.
The implication
and I could see that being something that pulled on, because I would bet that the character cards are done at a separate point from the battle cards.
They probably are,
that
but
crossover
the nature of this character card. So this was the jet half of the card. And I asked him something, which he did answer and showed me. And this is the thing, I just thought this was interesting. It was foiled on the back, which means that it was a finished, because the foiling is done in part to bind the halves together. So that means that thing was like finished and then fell into a machine in some way where it got split in half. I took the implication to be that it was in the battle card pack, because I could see, because a lot of this is automated, that if one of the folding cards got caught in the machine funny, got split in half, whatever it is that rustles the cards up might say, oh, this one's this size, it goes in with these ones. It's one of the, whatever, it's one of the battle cards. I should go check that thread, see if he replied at all.
He didn't really reply.
Okay.
To like if it was in the battle cards or not. The pack the Testify pack that's there with it still appears to be sealed. So
yeah, because I would have said if it wasn't foiled on the back, it would have been like, yeah, well, like it seems to me that the way that the folding cards work is they are cut and then foiled to bind them back together. So if it was just like an unfoiled back, I'd be like, oh, that one just, didn't get foiled, so it fell apart. But if it's foiled on the back, I'm like, oh, that's fascinating. I wonder if either it got split or if they cut the cards in half and then that half went in and there was no other half. So it got foiled, but nothing else got foiled.
Well, like the backside printing layer is on top of the foil layer, I believe. So it's probably just came off of a sheet and whatever cut process happened pushed a little too hard. Because I've been in places that do the paper cutting for things like this, and it's frequently, especially for something like this, there's probably 2 different sets of punch guides, and one of them just has a stop on it, and that's how you get the cut for the crease that doesn't go all the way through.
Okay.
And so it probably goes and it stamps each page. Well, if one of those goosed a little bit hard, and then whatever pull traction thing underneath it popped it apart.
Yeah.
And it probably just drug along, that Dreadwind half drug along with the Motormaster.
Like, FYI, we are hypothesizing. We don't know how it works, and I want to specify, we're not demanding to know how it works. Because that stuff, I believe, does actually fall into trade secret area. Like, that's not for public consumption, that side of production. Which bums me out, because I do think it's really fascinating. I understand why it's not, but I always wish it was. Especially with cases like this, I just want to sit there and go like, man, how did that happen? Because that's, I don't know, I think it's really neat. Obviously, like especially if it ended up taking up a battle card slot, that's sort of a bummer as far as like, individual pulls, but that's such a unique piece. I mean, we could probably try it out now that more cards are in the wild and it's a common. I'm curious how easy it would be to replicate that. Like, given how it was cut, like, could you just slice it with a knife, or would that look different than the thing he's got? I don't know. But, yeah, other than that, like, the folding cards, that was another nice thing about Wave 2, is most of the folding cards, the ones that are, on the median of quality, that most of them are really nicely made. A lot thicker than I thought they were going to be. I was definitely I was kind of sitting there going like, I'm sure they know what they're doing, but in my mind, I'm like, I was thinking that they were just taking the regular character cards and scoring a fold in the middle. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't make me feel super confident, but I'm sure they know what they're doing. Doing it on thicker stock, more like a board game piece, as has been said by others, makes a lot more sense. If you haven't seen it, you should check out, I put up a video of my prolonged stress testing of my one duplicate character card. I'm pretty sure that unless you have a defective one, regular play will not make them fall apart, because I subjected that card to a lot more than regular play for several days. It's actually right over here. It's still, hang on, let me do it. It's still...
Be great if now is the time that it fails.
That's why I'm doing it with the microphone right here. But no, it's not. Yeah, it's still in one piece. The hinge feels like it's maybe gotten... I don't know how much... I don't know another way to put this. It doesn't really make... It feels like it got a little bit looser, but I don't know what that means. It's just that's the best way I can describe how it feels. And I haven't been folding it backwards, I should specify, but I think maybe there's a bit more of a defined line on the fold on the holograph or the foiled side.
So
yeah.
I could see that if you were super extending it and the ink is on the other side of whatever binder layer is giving you that, you'd be stressing that past, so you'd end up starting to have the fold seam appear.
I am hyperextending it a bit because I realized when I was flapping it around while holding one end...
Yeah, probably gets about 15, 20 degrees. I watched that video cringing.
Yeah, when I whipped it down, it would still fold the wrong way a pretty decent amount. Actually, way farther than I can easily fold it the wrong way with my fingertips without applying force. So, yeah. I feel like I gave a pretty fair stress test to a folding card. I feel like these things are fine myself. And I mean, Aaron, aside from your miscuts, you otherwise, it sounds like had like no real QC stuff going on.
No real QC stuff. Every one of them that I've sat there and worked back and forth a little bit has felt perfectly fine. I I could see where people would be concerned with the probably 40 or so I've had through my hands now. I wouldn't be. I could see, like I said, if one of those things pushed a little bit too hard and cut through, I could see how like you'd end up with a failure state for it. But I really feel like the odds of that are pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, once I have a few more dupe commons, I'll try ripping one in half.
Yeah, try pushing one backwards and see if it actually
that's
really
what I'll do
goes,
first.
or if it just like, because I could even see like just the
foil might just stretch.
The not just that, but like the inside part of the card, the interior of the hinge, just kind of pushing.
Yeah.
But
like when we're at TFCon and I have access to some more cards, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to try folding it the wrong way. I'm also going to try without just going for a full like phone book rip. I'm going to see how much pressure I can apply in the the two direction pull that would rip a piece of paper in half, and see how much pressure that can take. I really suspect these things are more durable than most of us gave them credit for at first blush. But yeah, other than that, pulls wise, like I got all the combiners, I got 3 Predakings, 3 Op Maxes, and 2 Dinobots. I got Rare Skywarp, and I got Springer. Aaron, you have more cards than me, so you have more of those nameable pulls.
So out of my first box, I don't think I did quite the same breakdown of the second box. But in the first box, I was 10 non-combiners, 20 combiners. Let me go find the text I actually sent to you that had what those individual breakdowns were.
Is that far enough in the past that I have to scroll to see it?
Yeah. 4 out of 5 aerial bots, 4 out of 6 Optimus Maximus, 4 out of 5 Stunticons, 3 out of 5 Predaking, 2 out of 5 Dinobots, and then half a Blackwing.
Yeah.
And then since then, I now have, with the second box, I am now complete on both the combiners, probably almost doubled on the combiners. On the commons, still one short of Optimus Maximus, one short of Predaking, one short of Volcanicus.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel like not getting 5 boxes is probably the smartest thing for people to do. Like maybe if you're going for a complete set of everything, 2 boxes, and then really like I'd have to go through my character cards because my rares were, I got 3 rare non combiner character cards, so I believe I'm getting pretty close to the end game on that too, and it'd be pretty easy to do 2 and then buying singles, or maybe 3 and trading, depending on how you want to break that.
Also, playing some limited, I think is going to be a big thing. Like, especially if you have a local store that's supporting the game, get your local play group and community into playing limited. It's a more fun way to collect after you've got a box or 2. You'll still get a lot of cards, and you'll be bolstering the community and supporting the store that you guys play at, I assume. Like 2-pack turbo is what we do to support a store if we're going there to play constructed and there's no entry fee or anything. And I still like that. Like a lot of stores, it's the Magic the Gathering effect. A lot of stores feel like, well, we have to have tournaments if we're going to have people here. And I like that 3 Kingdoms specifically has a casual night for the game. That I wish was more populated right now, but I really like that we have a given night that the store set aside, some space for us where we don't have to go with like the idea of bringing our top game, where we can go and kind of just mess around with some jank. I still will mess around with jank at constructed tournaments, but doing it at a casual night I can get more games in that way. So yeah, get some limited going at your local gaming stores. I had one other polls question for you, because it was something I noticed. You know how there's 5 reprinted common battle cards? I found that I often would pull 2 to 3 of them in the same pack if I was pulling them. And I don't know if you noticed that at all, or if that was on your radar.
I wasn't even looking for that one way or the other. So,
okay.
Sure.
I don't think anyone really pays attention to the battle cards when they're opening their packs. which that's actually quite understandable. The characters are quite a draw. But when you all are opening your packs, like, something I'd like to know is, do you find it is not even like super common, but I would say, in rarity terms, would you find it is uncommon but not rare that you maybe are opening 2 to 3 of the reprints at once? Because it happened enough times. If you go through my unboxing video with a fine-tooth comb, it happens enough times that I feel like I started noticing it during that recording.
I'll have to pay attention myself on the next box that I open.
Yeah. Anything that I identify, or that even anything that 1 or 2 people identify, that's not enough to say that that's a thing that happens like with regularity. But, these are all interesting things, I think, to figure out, especially like in early days of a new wave with probably better collation going on. But gameplay-wise, Aaron, did you get a chance to jam any games with Wave 2 yet, or have you just been opening?
So when we had our preview stuff, I got to do a little bit of sampling on that. I haven't been able to get my normal gaming guys together to do that. I need to go through and see again if my FLGSs that didn't seem like they were going to be supporting it were looking to support it this time. But we'll see.
Go and play a few games there on a popular night with combiner cards, and that'll make people at least go like, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's this?"
Yeah, yeah. I need to find somebody that would be up for that to be dragged in and be an example. In 2 boxes, you've probably got enough. I feel like they were almost designed for this. You've probably got enough to make a Stunticon deck and an Aerial Bot deck out of your pool. I'm sure that I could.
Yeah, if you make
especially
those,
with all of my gobs of Wave 1 for filling out.
Yeah, like if you make those, then if you still have trouble roping people in, then you got to start guilt tripping those people for not being good friends. Because you're like, here, you want to play a combiner? You don't even have to make it. I made it for you already. Because I have a few things I can report from my early days of making those decks and playing them against each other over at Three Kingdoms. Thanks again, Saul at Three Kingdoms, who played over the counter with me on Thursday night. We jammed, I think, about 3 or 4 games total. So deck building, granted, I'm still very new to deck building, I feel. Like, I don't think I really picked it up in Magic. I was mostly just following orders when making decks in Magic. I immediately hit the thing where I was like, all right, I'll make a Stunticon deck. I'm going to aim for blue. While I'm pulling my Wave 1 cards, I'm like, you know what? I probably can skip stuff like Start Your Engine, because I'm not going to want to en masse turn everyone back into a car. I feel like with this deck, I'm going to want to race towards everyone being a robot. I still came out of the Wave 1 part of my binder with like 30 cards, and I was like, there's not enough room. This is not working. I need to strip a lot more of these out. So with the double size card pool, new mechanics or not, I already found deck building a little bit different. I also tend to do it out of a binder, so maybe folks who do it digitally are not going to really notice this. And then playing the game, obviously, if you're running Stunticons versus Aerial Bots, surprise, surprise, you are racing to combine. They're like kind of messing with the idea. I just found like there is kind of no benefit in this matchup to like sticking around in separated modes. The Aerial Bots, if you get the right pulls, those guys can combine really friggin' fast. A rapid conversion takes you one step closer, but also Silver Bolt's ability takes you a step closer. And that ability is rude if that thing goes off in the right situation. Because that's like 1 ping damage to anybody. And then he gets +1 attack from the built-in flip as well. And you're 1 step closer to Superion. And if you played a rapid conversion that same turn, you just like took 3 steps towards Superion in like 1 turn. Yeah. So that was pretty neat. Also, the green pips. I originally had 3 of each Enigma in these decks, and then I was like, you know what? I'm so starving for room. Why don't I just make it 2 of each Enigma? Guess what? We in the 3 games we had of Gestalt versus Gestalt, never were starving for the Enigma. It was always there.
Do you think you could go to 1 and still pull off the combination?
I think so. I think if you go to 1, you're gonna want to have some like stuff to dig through your deck, like a couple of like inspiring leaderships or whatnot.
Yeah. So do you think if you were already running a little bit of deck draw action?
Oh,
because they have like the Testify and a couple of the other, like the Star draw 3 cards.
And one of the Stunticons is flip to draw a card.
Right.
well.
So
I
if,
think
if you were rocking those, you think you could do it with one?
I'm going to try out Stunicons with one, I think, at some point, because I think they could do
just
it.
like goldfish it to see?
Yeah, I think they could pull it off, because it takes you, especially the Stunicons, without pulling a rapid conversion, which I did put into these decks, and I think you still want some of those in these decks. Like, it usually you'd have the combination stuff ready to go within a turn of flipping your last guy, if not on that turn.
Okay.
Because you're also, it's a green pip and you're flipping attacks. The green pip mechanic was fascinating to actually experience in person. Like, I knew what it would do, but playing the game is different to me than like theorizing. And there were some moments for the two of us where we were sitting there looking at our attack flips and looking at our hand and going like, oh, wait a second. I need like 10 seconds here. I
Chart out how you're doing this thing.
Yeah, well, it's not even the Enigma so much as it is all the other things, because I put in, like, Scoundrel Blaster and Noble's Blaster. I put in the reinforced plating that is an orange and green pip. I forgot what it's called now. The training one, I think. It's Blast Off and Ironhide doing security training. And there were times where you kind of sit there and go like, oh, actually, I could use that. And then you look at your hand, and especially once you've combined, there are some cards that turn dead when you combine. So once you're combined, you're like, you know what? I really don't need any of these rapid conversions. These are now going to be green pip fodder, which also means dead cards in your hand have a function now beyond just like scrapping them. Is they like, and I mean, we I think we talked about this even, but like in practice, it really was a moment where I was like, I don't mind having junk in my hand because I know there are green pips I'm going to flip. So the green pip mechanic is, I think, fantastic.
Thought tech research was for it first.
Yeah. I didn't put tech research or the superiors into these decks, I will say. I did pull one of each superior, and I think I pulled two of the armor. No, not the armor, the blaster. Or the cannon. But yeah, so combination was not difficult to do, I found. And in fact, so I played one game of my Stunicon deck versus Saul's Wheeljack Bumblebee Prowl Cars deck. Because I wanted to know what, it felt very much like playing Combiner Team versus Combiner Team was a type of game that was different than any other matchup. Especially these Combiner teams where there's nothing really like special about the combination. It's not like Opmax or Volcanicus. So playing against the cars, I had another little moment. And granted, I'm not like super good at card games. I'm still picking them up. But I had a little epiphany moment where I was like, oh, I'm in position to form Menasor. But then I was sitting there and I was like, his Prowl and Bumblebee are tapped and his Wheeljack is not. If I form Menasor, Wheeljack is going to punch Menasor in the face very hard. However, I have Off-Road tapped and he's taken 3 damage. I have Dead End who is at 1 health. So I'll attack with Dead End. So his Wheeljack has to either do 1 damage to Dead End or 4 damage to Off-Road, robbing him of the ability to do in upwards of 9 to 12 damage to Menasor. And I was like, hey, this is actual strategizing. You have to think of the Combiner guys kind of as 5 dudes, but simultaneously as the life bar of your end game.
Right.
So by holding off on the combination, he had to attack one of them to do, like I think he did 3 damage to Off-Road. And then I was able to, the next turn, form Menasor, and more importantly, then punch Wheeljack in the face, who I'd been chipping away at for the game, because I was like, I need that guy to go away very quickly when Menasor comes together. So that was like my first taste of like strategy of Combiner teams versus like, Wave 1 style teams. And also, speaking of the Combiners, Superions do 3 direct damage when he combines. That's real. And his Enigma is actually one you might want to consider running multiples of for after you combine, because after you combine, it becomes Strafing Run.
Yeah.
If you run like Strafing Run and Enigma in that deck, you're doing a whole lot of ping. Menasor, though, was actually the terrifying one, because I didn't fully catch on to this. When he combines, you draw 2 cards. His Enigma lets you draw 2 cards, and it's like, that's cool. But also, when Menasor is combined, you are then able to play 2 actions per turn. Full stop. And I was like, wait. that's something that's real here, because we were also running Swindled and Confidence, and as has been theorized, again, feeling it in practice was a new thing. when you have ways to cheat out actions and upgrades that are not doing all the roundabout specialist multi-mission tool and multi-tool and multi-mission gear stuff, or like two people's flip actions, like when there are just battle cards where it's like draw 2, scrap 2, and then play an additional whatever. Like, that was super cool. And Field Communicator, play the top card off your deck, basically, was like very interesting to experience. Like, modifying the game's tempo outside of the special cases of like Rare Optimus or, you know, the characters that would allow it, or those two specialist things. Or new designs, I guess. And it was just it was very cool. The game feels wider in a good way now.
Yeah. There's been nothing of this wave so far, as I've been like looking at it and watching other people's takes on it, that seems like they've written in a way you've got to play it, or written out a way that it was played before.
Yeah, I agree. The simpler, it's not even that simpler, I don't think, but like the Wave 1 style, I think you could still just keep playing with Wave 2. You'd be ignoring some stuff, but like the Wave 2 gives you the ability to just play like a sort of, you know, a head buddy straight orange, all bold, you know, assault thing if you want to do it. You can still play tough blue pips with Pierce if you want to. It's just that now I think that even within those archetypes, you got more options and more to my taste, you got more the ability to have a plan B and a plan C that seems like vaguely reasonable. So yeah, I'm really excited about having a full playset of Wave 2 and getting to really sink my teeth into it. And I haven't even started to like mess with my Wave 1 decks yet either. I've been kind of like just keeping it to those 2 decks I made for the combiners. Also, we figured out something because we were playing on a countertop, which meant we were playing on one playmat. If you're in limited space like that, the easiest way to tap a combiner is to tap the top left card with the name tag on it. That's the easiest way to tell that your combiner's tapped without having to tap the entire thing, when you don't actually have room to do so. So, pro tip. I think that's about it for my gameplay impressions. At least for, you know, that one time. Aaron, anything else you want to throw in about Wave 2 so far?
No, I'm good. I'm excited to go and open more.
Yeah,
more packs,
you have,
see if I can
have 2 more simmering.
Yeah, I have 3 more boxes simmering.
3 more. Oh yeah, that's right. 3 more.
Oh.
Man.
So maybe I'll end up with all the combiner sets.
It's, I think, statistically impossible for you to not have all of them by the time you finished opening 5 boxes.
Yeah, maybe.
Either that, or the
Dinobots could be jerks.
You'll have so many rares to trade for those Dinobots.
Yeah.
By the time you're done.
Just 5 of them. Just take it.
I'm still really hoping I can follow through on my plan of just getting 2 copies of every folding card. So I can have a nice one in the binder and then just like a nice greebly foldy one. I want to throw down the Dinobots folded on the table. But yeah, I'm enjoying Wave 2 quite a bit. I'm really hyped. I already went on eBay to go like, any Malaysian eBay auctions chilling out here? Just with like the nice hookup that can get it to me in a week. But nothing yet. I'm trying to maintain my demand of myself that I will purchase most of my boxes here in Canada. But knowing when I can do so would certainly help. In the meantime, Aaron, if there's nothing else, I think that we have completed another WTF at TCG.
Yes, we have.
We still haven't yet managed to do one without having spoiler cards or a Wizards of the Coast person on the podcast. But we got closer this time.
Yeah. We were almost going to, and then
we were gonna.
Happened, so
yeah, we were gonna, and then like it's like WotC was like, wait, no, wait, hold on.
They can't do this without something from us.
You think you can run your show without us? You're nothing. They would never say that. They'd be like, here, have some sushi.
We're going to record something at TF Con, and then just Drew's going to drop in on a fast rope from the ceiling.
Yeah, busting through the ceiling on a rappel, just going like, I heard someone was podcasting about my game. But yeah, I'll throw it in here again. If you're coming out to TFCon LA, I hope to see you there because I'm planning to spend a lot of my downtime at that convention playing the card game. because I like playing the card game. So if you're coming out there, then like, hey, come by and say hi. And maybe let's trade some cards. I have some Wave 1 wanteds that I've been saving in the hopes of trading into a full Wave 2 set while I'm at TFCon. So help me make that dream come true. In the meantime, we will talk to you again. This has been me and Aaron. It's been some WTF at TCG. All y'all out there, find yourself a dupe card that's your soulmate. Mine's name is Autobot Mirage. And beat the crap out of them. Because that's how you show your love to a folding character card. That came out that sounded way better in my head.
Yeah, I would
Millions
hope so.
of times better in my head. I should edit that out.
But you won't.
Probably not.
What the fuck's going on down there?